As a follow-up to the last video, I have an S4 versus S5 video today for you ladies and gentlemen. There may also be an S2 versus S3 video, and I'll try and do a load of Samsung comparison videos basically. This is the i9505 versus the standard S5. The penultimate and then final plastic Samsung S flagships are head-to-head with stock software. So hey guys, my name is Ryan Thomas, this is Failtech, and my thoughts on the 2X Samsung flagships. The standout issues with both of these phones are knocks, which is a problem, as well as with the S5, its weather sealing flaps tend to break off. Again, like I've said with knocks in the past, you are able to bypass this if you are super clever, but otherwise knocks can be a bit of a turn off if you are expecting to really easily put new software on there. The S5 and S4 are 3 and 4 years old respectively, and you will pay anywhere from £50 to £125, which is pretty cheap, especially with the S5 with its oodles of features for around the £100 mark. The designs are both plasticky, but the S5 feels oddly less refined than the S4. I believe this is probably due to the fact that there are flaps to cover up the different ports. The bezels are also slightly bigger on the S5, which is kind of odd. The backs are removable on both devices and both have plasticky chrome surrounds, which is typical Samsung, and the layout of buttons and touch sensors are there from Samsung. The S5 has more of a square design, which I actually think I prefer the S4 slightly more rounded edges, but there's no apparent metal in the external construction on either, and because I like metal phones so much, I feel like the builds are kind of below average in quality. The screens on these devices are very similar. They're both 1080p Super AMOLED displays and have similar pixel density figures purely due to the fact the S4 is 5" and the S5 is 5.1", so very slight increase there. When I first saw the S5's display, I really fell for it because the colours and rich blacks are so good. Coming from the S5 to the S4, I couldn't really tell much of a difference in size or clarity, which makes sense because they are roughly the same panel. What I did notice was the screen to body ratios are on slightly different levels from the S5 to the S4. The S4 is rocking a screen to body ratio 3% bigger than the S5, meaning that the bezels show a lot more on the S5. Both are crispy and clear for watching video, playing games, using the phone overall. Weirdly enough, I really enjoyed using social media apps on both, because stuff like YouTube, Twitter, Facebook on the S5 and S4 really show the UI pop out because of course YouTube on modern smartphones is red. You're getting perfect blacks and great contrast and clarity in colours, which I thought was great, especially for these older phones. The cameras are quite a bit different, and there was a big change, just like the rest of the phone, between the S4 and the S5. The S4 shooter is 13 megapixels with an f2.2 aperture and the ability to shoot 1080p video at 30 fps, for which I will leave links to samples in the description. Then there's the S5, which got a pretty big upgrade here with a 16 megapixel sensor, which gives you a lot more detail punching in. This time though, you can shoot UHD video at 30 fps and 720p video at 120 fps for slow motion at 5x if you're using the 24 fps standard. This camera is really rather good. However, I wiped the phone before selling it and forgot to transfer photos for a review, so here are a few the day before I packaged it up. I actually really like the camera for the price and the age of this thing. I will leave links to other samples too in the description, despite my attempt to amend my error. As for the selfie cams, we have the same one actually. Samsung likes copying their cameras. Just saying. But no, it's nice to have a wide angle 2 megapixel camera on both of these with the ability to shoot 1080p at 30 fps. I guess I do like the Samsung wide angle lenses on front, but you guys probably know my opinions if you've watched any of my reviews. I generally compare most front facing cameras to Samsung ones because of that wide angle nature. You do get all your mates in the shot though, so no worries. The performance of these two are quite different despite similar looking numbers on paper. Both rock Qualcomm Snapdragon quad cores and both have 2GB of RAM, but the S4 is rocking an SD600 at 1.9 GHz versus the S5's SD801 at 2.5 GHz, meaning that the S5 is considerably faster in an apples to apples comparison. I personally didn't find it that quick, but on custom software apparently it's meant to be very rapid for its age. The software I rocked was 5.0 Lollipop for the S5 and 4.4.2 KitKat for the S4, though you could push both of those higher over stock over the air updates apparently, but I never got the ability to, which was a pain in the ass, and I couldn't show you what they are actually capable of in terms of stock software. I would like to check out the S4 on custom software, so if you guys want, go back to my last video, drop a like on that and see if we can magically hit 250 likes, and if so I will make several different videos on custom ROMs, different ROMs on the S4, maybe do some comparisons and take your guys' opinions and maybe some community video. I can't do this on the S5 though, unfortunately, because I don't actually own that. Like I said before, I did sell it. The battery lives on these phones aren't amazing if you buy phones used with used batteries. They are both much better with replacements and upgrades. Both on stock, used batteries failed to get me through an entire day, which is unacceptable in my honest opinion. But the S4 I bought came with an Anker battery pack too, which gave me a full day's use. The speakers are both rear facing, meaning that you're not getting the best listening experience off the bat, but at least the speakers are there. The ports are odd here, as the S4 uses the micro B standard cable, which is normal, but the S5 uses a Type B 3.0 cable, which is 3.0 compliant from USB. Really odd for a smartphone to use this. It is covered by a weatherproof flap, which broke off in my case. You do get headphone jacks on both, which is good, and the ability to expand via micro SD to put photos, videos and other media apart from applications. Whilst the S4 does not feature a fingerprint scanner, the S5 does. This instantly puts the S5 up an entire class for me because I require a fingerprint scanner on my daily driver. If I didn't, I'd be rocking the damn beautiful Nexus 6 by now. The S5 scanner isn't very quick or accurate, but it's there. It also requires a swipe instead of just a touch to unlock with stock software, which I always found was a bit cumbersome and unnecessary, but at least you actually have a fingerprint scanner. Also, there are talks and rumours that you can actually change that to a touch when you go to custom software. Standout features, apart from the expandable storage on both, are heart rate sensor and IP67 water resistance on the S5, Qi wireless charging on both out of the box in certain regions, and the use of the AMOLED screen. Overall, I like the body of the S4, but the incredible feature set of the S5. I would personally go for the S5 over the S4 purely because of the fingerprint scanner really. Well folks, that's it from me. I hope you really have enjoyed the video, and be sure to leave a like, dislike, comment on what your thoughts are, and hit that subscribe button if you're new around here. I've been Ryan Thomas, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.